Hello, everyone. Welcome to VidyaMitra Talk, a podcast where we bring real conversation with people who have built meaningful careers, businesses, and impact. This series is designed to help students, working professionals, and more importantly, aspiring entrepreneurs to gain clarity, confidence, and direction from people who have walked the talk and not confined to textbooks and theories. Today, we have got a guest who is a seasoned professional with 22 years of experience. Currently, he is associate director at KPMG. He began his career at Toyota, led global players and projects across US and Australia, combining deep corporate expertise with a human touch. What is that human touch? He has got strong passion for coaching, mentoring, and public speaking. In this journey of hectic corporate life, he has touched the lives of 16,000 students through his initiative that is Campus to Career. He believes that in seeing the big picture, turning adversity into opportunity, and empowering youth through learning, leadership, and purpose, one's life manifests. Ladies and gentlemen, today we have with us one of the finest personality whom I have ever met, Mr. Anantha Lakshmanarao. He is a lovely person to talk, very humane, very intelligent, at the same time, very professional. So, Anantaji, very happy for you for accepting our request and joining the podcast.
Namaste, Vinod ji. It's my pleasure to be part of this podcast and an opportunity to partner with the budding students or the professionals. It's a great opportunity. Thank you for the invite. My pleasure.
So sweet of you. Anantaji, you have got 22 years of strong experience working with premium organizations where we call it as one of the powerful leadership circles.
Mhm.
Plus, you also get into this connecting the roots, giving back to the society, and talking to youngsters. Can you narrate your 22 years of journey so that we will understand more from you?
Absolutely, Vinod ji. Uh, by the way, I will date this back to my journey when I completed grade 10. And when I completed grade 10 with a distinction of 87.52%, I still vividly remember. Everybody asked me, why don't you join science stream? Because that is meant for people who get the distinction. And I was adamant that I should take commerce stream. And this was, riding against the waves at that point of time. And of course, my parents supported, do whatever you want. And I had a plan to complete chartered accountancy, and that is how I took the commerce against all odds. And then I did enjoy my journey throughout the studentship. And in fact, even this was the juncture when I moved from regional medium of instruction, Kannada medium, to English medium of instruction. And it was a good challenge. When I look back, it brings smiles on my face. While at that point of time, it felt overwhelming, intimidating, and whatnot, right? Butterflies in the stomach, so on and so forth. Uh, but then, no, of course, plus one and plus two I completed, and then I joined graduation, that is Bachelor of Commerce. And but that point of time, I was fortunate enough to get some inputs about the professional course of the chartered accountancy, ICWAI, and company secretaries, and I started pursuing that in addition to Bachelor of Commerce because I knew I could make some carve out some time, and I was again fortunate to have mentors who gave me that little push that you can do it. And then by the time I completed my graduation, I had completed almost the intermediate of ICWAI, and then it was time for me that I started feeling, and due to the additional inputs that I got from my mentors, it is equally important that I also get the actual hands-on industry or the work experience. And I joined an audit firm by name Bhaskar Mahadevan Harish. and again got a great opportunity to start my career working on the journal, ledger, balance sheets of the world. And then I did a stint of like 6 months. Then at that time, I had an opportunity to join the global automaker Toyota, and um, you can imagine the shift, the paradigm shift that I would call from a small place, to make an entry into that factory, the big factory of 450 acres. Again, a moment of butterfly in the stomach. And when I had to enter the premises of Toyota, I was a little skeptical. Am I eligible, or can I enter here? It's kind of, a lot of thoughts going on in mind. First exposure to such an big atmosphere. And then I went to the interview, and let me tell you, I always believe that our success is a function of people around us. It's not exclusively our talent or skills. Of course, that is the foundational, but I cannot attribute 100% of my success to my talent, skills, and abilities. Right? I'll give you an example here. There were 6 or 7 people, they were lined up for the interview, and the interview in Toyota happened to be such that there is no, the interview of asking questions and narrating the answers. They asked me, "How good are you at Microsoft Excel?" And I was probably candid enough to say, "I'm pretty decent." I never said I am excellent. I'm very good. I did not want to boast. And the deputy general manager, who was from Japan by name Uka Ishiro, he gave me 3 papers. One is a Microsoft Word document, and then he gave me another Excel related subject that I had to put it in Excel. And then he asked me to put a pie chart.
Okay.
And while I did it decently well, uh, but the others did not do what I did. And probably they selected me, right?
Interesting.
In a way, you see how these things, hands out. Sometimes, our performance is also relative. Of course, I'm not undermining the power of our performance, uh, but I think it's also the point that I learned is we need to take on the opportunities, not waiting to be completely skilled. The very point is, when you get onto the job, you definitely will make an attempt and learn that skill better than waiting to be getting up to date in that skill and then getting onto the field. I don't, it is like, you know, learning swimming through books and then you jump to swim. That never works. That's my learning.
Right.
Then I got on there, and there was another utter surprise that was waiting for me. I was hoping to join a finance team, and they put me into a design and development team, an elite and elitist of the this country, from BITS Pilani or the RV of Bangalore, the mechanical engineers, the group of mechanical engineers. And they are talking about all the drawings, CAD data, homologation, regulation, tooling, design, which is completely Greek and Latin for me. It's all rocket science. And then I thought, I must quit. And then again, I went back to my mentor, and I wanted to quit on the pretext of the reason that there is a long working hours. I did not reveal that this is the reason. I told my mentor, this is a long working hours and I want to quit. And here is what my mentor said, etched in my memory. And he said, if you want to succeed in life, you can't look at watch.
Wow.
If you want to succeed in life, you can't look at watch. Whether it is the work life balance was not a concept at that time, but he gave me a subtle message that you ought to learn, you need to learn everything, uh, you know to get the things moving, otherwise nothing will move. Then I went back, continued, and I completed an year in Toyota. I was at a pretty decent level again, that I can do it. I gained that confidence even though this was not my field. What that taught me is, of course, we talk about our academic degrees, and I just mentioned about I was a distinction student in my grade 10. I strongly believed that, of course, that was a foundational, but that is not the only thing that has helped me in this small journey, what I mentioned so far. That I think that our pushing ourselves to do a bit more, or putting ourselves in an uncomfortable situation, I think will expose us to newer opportunities, newer challenges. I think that's the only way to grow. Right.
Wow. Wow. I think that's one of the best message which you can suggest in the first few minutes itself, that you have to be your own competitor and push yourself.
Absolutely. Yep. Yep. Yeah.
It's truly, truly a great message for, everybody, including me. Now, since you mentioned that, you should not look at the watch if you want to grow, which the mentors advise. And I think thanks that I'm not wearing a watch. Oh, so sweet of you.
We never decided so, but it's happening coincidentally.
Uh, now, when you mentioned about this line, and right now, what everybody, I think this is a, if you ask me, it's a cliche statement, but it is a reality where the widening seems to be on a higher, space.
Right.
What academia expects versus what industry is looking forward to.
Right.
So, being in the one of the finest TQM practiced organization, Toyota,
Yep.
now with Big Four and helping in very large data, especially on different dimensions, a person who took commerce because he was adamant on, despite having marks, that he wanted to take up a different route, worked stressfully or strenuously for your ICWA. All these are testimonials from your expertise, plus 16,000 people you have connected with.
Yep.
What you feel could be that reason for the gap, and how we think we can add at least one spoon of sugar or one spoon of honey to be healthy, to fill it.
Absolutely. 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 Very relevant and pertinent question, for today's scenario. Of course, this question, I had this question even during my studentship. I used to ask my lecturers that tomorrow, if I go to a job, how will what I learn here matter? How do I connect the dots of theory and practice? And they used to say you have a probation period and then you clear it, blah, blah, blah. But now, if you see, I think with the rapid phase of changes that are happening, it has become all the more relevant. And this has become a need or a necessity of bridging this gap. On that note, let me clarify. I think when we talk about gap, right, uh, of course, there are skill gaps, and to some extent, these are also a perception that when I say the skill gap, right, because it is not same across everybody. But if I have to generalize, right, so to speak, the gap lies exists within the industry itself. Because we would have heard the word, what got you here won't get you there, right?
Right.
I learned with some graduation, some courses, some certifications, and I cannot bank on those laurels anymore. That is the industry story. Now, if I transition to the academics, right? I have heard people saying that the gap needs to be reduced, so on and so forth. But the challenging part for academia is how do you replicate that scenario that is there in the corporate with this fast-paced changes, right? How do you simulate? Those have been the challenge, right? Now, let me simplify this a bit while I gave an overview, right? Um, Three things that we can take, and this I believe strongly believe this is not only for students; it is applicable for all of us for our lifetime. So, three things that I bank upon. The first is knowledge. The second is skills. The third is attitude. I think most of the things in our life, whether it is in our personal sphere or professional sphere, lies revolves around these three aspects. Taking this bit by bit, right? Knowledge. Now we are talking about academia industry, and the question that I ask the students is, how many of you think that whatever you have learned in the institution is going to matter? And most of them say no. They raise hand that it is not going to matter. My next question to them is, whatever the formulas that you have learned, or since I am from the accounting field, the debits and credits of the world that we learn, it remains the same in the practice, in the practical world as well. There is no change,
Right.
which means it is also incumbent upon me. How do I connect this dot? Or if I'm not able to get some help from the industry experts or the learned professionals, how do I connect the dot? Right?
Mhm.
Now, the very reason that I see knowledge is foundational is all the professionals are hired for the technical prowess, the knowledge, so to speak, right? Otherwise, it becomes a generic profession. That's not the case. I cannot do a job that a doctor does, or a chartered accountant does, or an engineer cannot do their job. So there is a reason, because the foundational aspect of knowledge is very strong within them, right? So that's one part of it. Now, the major gap that we are thinking or discussing is when it comes to skills. And when people talk about the soft skills, now it is termed as success skills. It is no more soft skills, it is success skills. Because it is not only for the students, it is for the professionals as well. And what I would urge students is to invest equal amount of time and effort in building these skills along with the knowledge. That is going to be critical for success. And knowledge mostly is related to IQ. Of course, with the practice and persistence, we can enhance that. But skills is, to the most extent, is not related to IQ. It is about your practice, practice, practice. Mantra is simple, right? I don't have to be thinking that I am not that intelligent. How do I learn a new language? Or how do I expose myself in a new situation of global world? It is quite possible. It is only the practice and the consistency matters, right? So I would strongly urge the students, who are thinking that how do I start this journey, invest equal amount of time in the skills. There's the second part of it. The third part of it is, the attitude. So I keep telling students that, for knowledge, you have your BSc or MBBS, BCom, MCom degree. For skills, you will get some certification. But for attitude, there is no institute that gives you a certificate. It's your own self, so to speak, right? And when I talk about attitude, it is not about good attitude or bad attitude. Because let me tell you, if someone is listening to this podcast, I can certainly tell that they have their intent in the mind that they want to do something in life. It is not about me, but any of the podcasts, or if they are doing, they could have just looked at some reels or done something which is not productive. But the audience have some intent in mind, right? Now, this is the attitude, as in, I can do it, I want to come up, or, in a way, the attitude is that when the things are not working, what is your take on that? How do you respond to the situation, right? Because nowadays we are also talking about a lot of stress, right? The stress management, the work-life balance, and all those things. Of course, these are all part of life, but what do I emphasize more on? Do I emphasize more on my success and the journey that lies ahead, which motivates me to do more, or just I bank upon the stress and all those things? So this is where I think the attitude helps, right? So a combination of all three, I think, will help to bridge this gap. It's going to be an ongoing journey.
Beautiful, beautiful. I think you have literally nailed that. One, definitely the attitude to approach. Automatically, you can build the skills, and knowledge will give you that energy to excel.
Yep.
Since you mentioned these three as a powerful mantra across all generations,
Right.
uh, being in the corporate life for a longer stint, and you would have seen different young minds. In fact, they are all bright. So somebody who's
Yep.
getting into Toyota, definitely there is no second call. They are all
Hmm.
the toppest of the elitist.
Hmm.
Same way for KPMG and all premium organizations. So you have served there as a very senior position. Uh, Apart from that, what are that hiring? It's not hiring criteria.
Yep.
Some thought you will have a figuring out. Oh, this person seems to be wow. I want this guy. So
Yep.
what comes to your mind as a recruiter, or from you're sitting on the other side.
Yep.
So as a audience, I would be very curious if I can just try to curate it. That
Yep.
becomes my learning attitude. So if you can throw some light on it.
Absolutely, absolutely, Vinodji. In fact, when I generally talk to people, what is that industry expects? Of course, what people have as an opinion is true, to the point that they mention communication skills is the foremost important thing. Yes, I also agree. I buy that concept. That is given. You don't have to put an US accent or an UK accent to be an excellent communicator, or use a grandiloquent words to impress the interview panel. You can be yourself. You
Right.
can be your own self. As long as you are able to effectively convey, and communication is more about listening, right? It's like, I keep telling students that God has given us 2 ears, one mouth, so that we need to listen more and talk less, because communication is about first understanding, right? I think that is where I see, understanding the question and then responding rather than reacting. That's one part of it. Now, the next thing, if I were to hire an individual, or let's say employability, if what the organizations would see is the cultural alignment, right? That's more important, right? Because gone are the days when you hire an individual exclusively on their current grades, marks, because we all as a human being evolve, the things will change. But I think the attitude or the approach that we have is most likely to continue, unless there is something which goes above and beyond, right, or something like that. Now, what organizations would check is more than emphasizing on, of course, I keep telling that your marks is like a passport, but you don't earn visa. You have to apply for visa and you have to get it, right? So now you have a passport, you have your graduation, everything passport. What organizations nowadays look for is cultural alignment. If the organization culture is a high degree of learnability or a lifelong learning, right? Because I remember one of our KPMG ex-CEO used to mention that I am a student of the firm. And at the verge of the retirement, think of someone with a 35 plus years of experience saying that I'm a student of the firm. You see the immense value that the organization places on the learning, right? Now, what I see is how the individual is open to learn the new things. Probably our questions would be around that, challenging what they have learned, how do they respond, how do they react, and the other thing is, culturally, whether that positive mindset and that groundedness, that's very important, right? So these are the finer aspects, that we, when we check with the candidates, and it is no more an interview process that we call it as. We call it as a conversation, and make them feel free, and then we want to get best out of it under no stressful situations. That is how the interviews are going to be. It's going to be more of conversational, right? To do that, I think anybody should have done a homework with a frame of mind that this is how the interview expectation is. Let me prepare, and it can't start on the previous night. That is where I see people can do better.
Absolutely. I think you nailed it. So, the bottom line is please do not go to beauty parlor the day before your wedding.
Yes, nourish it internally so that it is not go. It need not be a momentary. You can glow, you can brim with confidence if you are constantly working on it. Rather than doing it in bits and pieces. See, if you have signed up for it, sign up 100% and do your best. Then certainly, I think the rest will follow.
And this gives me more curiosity to ask one more sub question,
Sure.
because what are the pro qualities as a very senior personality you would look at putting me from a managerial position to a leadership position?
Right. Sure. Again, a very good question. Because the other thing that I see within the corporates is there are 5 metrics that I need to meet, and somebody had met those 5 metrics, or somebody has exceeded 3 out of those 5 metrics, and they are rightfully under the expectation that they will make it to the leadership level, right? Of course, while that is fair, I think when somebody has to be moved into a leadership level, or when an organization considers to a leadership level, I think it is beyond that, because it is a great responsibility, and we are not talking about managers. The shift from management to leadership is a big one in anybody's career, so to speak, right? Now, until managerial level, it might be mostly the technical aspects of a job. But when it comes to leadership, I think the people aspect will increase a lot. Of course, the technical competency will stay, but people aspect, right? Whether you're a people person, you are an enabler, right? Rather than a distractor, right? How you can make people, be cohesive, work as a team, right? As they say, if you want to go faster, go alone. If you want to go farther, go as a team. So now the leader's job is how to make the team work as a team, and the team is not just collection of people. It is much more beyond that, right? How that cohesive force can bring enormous exceptional results to the organization, right? Now, in order to be doing that, someone who goes above and beyond what has been told, beyond the metric, right? And have the genuine care about people or the job that they does with detailed orientation, right? So those are the things, that they would look. And of course, the vision. And that reminds me of one simple anecdote that I can bring. There was a construction happening, and there were three workers in the construction site, and a person stopped by and asked the first person, "So what do you do?" Then he says, "I have to work in a sunlight, and it's heavy on me, and it is very strainful, and I don't know why. I curse God for putting me in this job, so on and so forth, blah blah blah." He said, "Okay, that was his story." The person went to the second person and asked the same question, "What are you doing here?" And he said, um, "I am doing the work of a mason, and they gave me money, so I earn my living. So better than the first one, right?"
Right.
And the third person, when the same question was asked, he said with a confidence and a delight on his face that we are building a magnum opus here, uh, mansion, and I am proud that I am able to contribute to that large success story, right? So it all depends on how do we look at the things in the same situation. Now, I would attribute the leaders towards the third person that I gave in my example. When somebody can envision beyond what they are currently, right? And beyond themselves, to be more precise. I think that is where the leadership. And these attributes, of course, are quite visible in our day to day interactions that the organizations can make out how an individual is carrying himself.
Wow. Beautiful, beautiful. I think, the broader vision, or we call it as vision board,
Yep.
which is reflecting from a junior or a managerial cadre to a leadership position.
Yep.
And the final thought, which I would like to get it from an experienced person like you, is right now everybody are using either the word AI or either the word turbulence or complete paradigm shift. These are all words which is very vocal.
Yep.
And if I put it, you know, as a youngster who is
Right.
getting from a very, very comfort zone, which we call it as the college, because
Yep.
you are giving me the project, I just need to type it and submit. I don't care anything else. You are giving me the assignment, I just do it. You are giving me the question paper, I just write it. I got 85 marks, I am happy. I got 65. So I'm not thinking beyond in my college life or in my academia.
Yep.
Now, suddenly, now you are exposing me to a very large area where not only the organization, lot of external variables also play. So,
Right.
what would be your thought to youngsters, particularly
Hmm.
and generally to everybody,
Right.
how to face adversities?
Sure. Sure. Again, all the questions have been very pertinent, and this one as well, all the more pertinent. And as I say, the ship is never built to always be docked on the shore. It is meant to sail in the rough seas. I think the same thing applies. Whether somebody, is pursuing a course or an education, they have an aspiration to go beyond what they have been doing. Now, to the point that the turbulence or the era of AI, and this is not the first in the mankind. We have seen many such revolutions, evolutions, and of course survived, prospered, whatever. Right now, I remind myself of a quote at this juncture. It goes like this. I read it recently. Um, when the change rolls over you, when the change rolls over you, if you are not part of the road roller, you are part of the road. So
Oh,
uh, you have to move along with the change. If you are you know uh, pretty stiff on what you want to do or your approach, then we'll be crushed. That's a good analogy, right?
right.
Now, uh, I was also telling the students day before yesterday, in a football match, in a penalty kick, The chances of goalkeeper saving the penalty kick is not 90%, not 80%, it is 15 to 20%. Now, that means if he tries 10 times, there are chances that once or twice he may save the goal. But he cannot be keeping quiet, doing nothing. I think
Right.
today's situation is like that. I cannot be thinking that this is above and beyond my comprehension or what will I be doing about it. I would say rather than investing or spending time on worrying about that, how can I be part of this? So invest time. There is a difference between spending and investing time. Don't spend time, invest time. Do that small little things every day, whether it is AI or whether the personal changes that we want to bring about in our life, right? So if I decide that I need to do a better time management, I need to act upon it apart from the plan. The same thing, right? Do the smallest of the things. I think that will have a domino or butterfly impact in the last run, right? To the point, I think AI, yes, the buzzword, and I was looking at a report by McKinsey where the technology adoption momentum in the organization, right? Of course, AI is on the high spree, that is given, right? And if you see, the students also know how to use ChatGPT and many of the things, right? It's already there, right? But how do they take it to the next level to enhance their knowledge, beyond just answering the questions or whatever? I think it is all trial and error method, and fail fast, fail cheap. The students have now the luxury, if you fail now, it's not going to be expensive. Fail cheap. This is what I heard from one of the principal engineers of NASA when I was listening to his podcast few years ago. Fail fast, fail cheap. So get on to it. Certainly you will learn.
Wow, I think very, very powerful mantra. Fail fast, fail cheap, with attribution to NASA's podcast, but definitely we get it from Anantha. So
Thank you.
we cite yours, but I think that's a very beautiful statement. In fact, there is no age barrier, there is no gender
Yep,
barrier. It's just a mindset that get on. What is the maximum possible loss? अरे काम तो करता ही नहीं है, चलो छोड़ो यार, अगला ले लो.
absolutely.
So I think that gives a lot of life lessons. And with
Certainly.
this, we are very happy. Once again, thank you for accepting our request and being part of this show. So, friends, if you like any of the conversations, please put it on the chat because comments are going to give you that momentum. And please do like, share, and subscribe so that the knowledge transfer happens fast.
Absolutely. Thank
Very,
you for
very
this
happy.
wonderful opportunity, Vinodji. I wish all our viewers a grand success. All the best.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. ரொம்ப
Thank you.
சந்தோஷம்.